We're back here in Buzz City for Buzz City Night for the first time this season, taking on Kyrie Irving and the Celtics tonight. We're wearing our brand new City Edition uniforms. I'm rocking a little apparel line right here. I'm Eryn Pittsonberger, that's Matt Rochinksi, and this is the HornetsFanshop.com pregame show. Rolling right into it, we have a game day special. What you got?
Great game day special for you fans out there. Right now, there's no code needed. You get 25% off on all Jordan brand merchandise. So make sure you get on HornetsFanshop.com right now. Get that Jordan brand gear. Get it here for the holidays. No code needed. It's going to be great. But also, fans, another reminder for you. Make sure you're watching Hornets.com over the course of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, starting Thursday. Early Black Friday a little bit for you fans out there. No fees on our tickets through Ticketmaster. Make sure you log on. Get those tickets. They make great gifts. And if you can save fees on some of those more expensive games, put a little extra money in your pocket as well.
Now, speaking of that, for Jordan brand, we do have a handful of pieces of apparel that are actually coinciding and supporting this uniform tonight. We have this shirt. We have hats that's going on here. We have
some cool
ton
City
of stuff.
of
Some
Flight
really cool City of Flight stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm really looking forward to paying homage to the city of Charlotte tonight when we wear these.
Yeah, and it's something that is great to wear. We've seen some of these videos that we've produced that have our players, have different fans wearing these. These are great opportunities for fans to get these. I have kids that are in the high school age. To me, this is right in their wheelhouse. There's no doubt about it. They love the all black. They love this teal, this kind of neon kind of look to it. It's a very sharp look. Makes for some great gifts as well.
Yes, keep in mind, great gifts.
Yes.
All right, let's take a look.
If you're looking for something for me, Eryn, that would be perfect.
I mean, yes, that would be ideal. That would be ideal. Hint, hint. It's for me as well. All right, well, moving right along, let's take a look at the other pieces of apparel that is in this City of Flight line. Moving right along, we're going to talk about Saturday night's game against the Sixers. It was an amazing night, historic night, legendary night. The only thing that would have made it that much better would have been a win. We were so close, and then Jimmy Butler just had to sink that three, and that was the end of it.
We can't give a guy like Jimmy Butler 2 shots at it. You know, he had 1 shot at it, missed the first time. We came back down, had our chance. Kemba, maybe whistle. It's not really my call. That's up to the NBA referees. They held on to it, but what a performance by that guy.
Yes.
I mean, Kemba Walker, to carry a team the way he was carrying it last game out, it was just amazing to watch. And I'm sitting there going, and I think I might have even said it to you and Brian Travis after the 3rd quarter, Kemba's going to run out of juice. There's no way he can keep this up. And then we get down by 10 in the 4th quarter, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, this might be it. It was a heck of a run. Then the guy comes out and scores 13 points.
Right.
Like, absolutely insane what Kemba Walker was doing. There are no words to describe it. Fans, hopefully you were in attendance. We know we had a sellout. We told you early to get out to this one because there were going to be some great things going on. Kemba Walker put the cherry on top and made sure that, hey, not only did you get to see all these legends and stuff, you also got to see one of the best performances in Charlotte basketball history.
Definitely. And as I was watching that game, it got to be he got to 38 points, and I was talking to Brian, and I was like, you know what? He can get to 40, and once he gets to 40, he's going to be passing Glenn Rice for the most 40-point games in this franchise at 11, and he hit that. And then it got closer to 52, and we were like, oh, Kemba Walker's career high is 52. We need to make sure that we have something for that, too. So then he passed that. And then we're like, holy smokes, he's about to hit 60 points? Are you kidding me? For the first time by any player this season, he hit 60 points. I have a feeling, you know what, guys, if you don't know who Kemba Walker is, you better know who he is now. Yeah, you're not paying attention. You're living under a rock. And so hopefully, you know, he made national headlines from that game. And so, you know, I really, really hope he gets the attention he deserves come February.
Yeah, he should. He definitely, I mean, all-star performance, no doubt. I mean, what Kemba's doing right now is just game after game after game. He's showing up every night, and that's what you want from a guy who's an all-star, and especially trying to make that 3rd bid. But how nice was it? Well, let's put it this way. I think the happiest guy in the room, other than Kemba for what he was doing, might have been Del Curry. And the reason I say that is because Del Curry for the last 2 years has had to sit there and watch Kemba Walker break every single one of his records. And he's done it so greatly. Del has been nothing but a class act and watching all of this happen. But at least on this night, because we had the legends in, Glenn Rice got to sit there and watch Kemba Walker break one of his records. So for once, it wasn't you, Del. Congratulations. It was good to see. And I'll tell you what, those legends being here, what a great group of guys. Did you notice them as they were walking around, just the fun they were having?
They were having so much fun. It was like a high school reunion. If you just looking around, watching them just be really happy, kidding around with each other, walking around. Even some of the guys who didn't necessarily play with them on the team, they had that special bond and that connection to where it didn't even matter if you didn't play together. You guys, you had a connection regardless.
Yeah, I was watching them as they were kind of gathered in this room where we shoot right now before the game to take pictures, sign some autographs for things that we'll be putting out later on Hornets.com and in the social spaces. Make sure you're watching for those. But just to see those guys going back and forth, it was like high school kids just kind of hanging out, except all these guys are getting a little longer in the tooth, but they still like to rib each other just the way they did back in their playing days. And it was just fun to see. And every one of them was a real class act. They all had a chance to sit down and talk to us. They all were all extremely warm, welcoming, and they were all just thrilled to be back here, to be back in front of the Charlotte fans that they had grown up playing in front of and who meant so much to them. So thank you, fans, for coming out, showing your support. Those guys really appreciated it, and it made for one heck of a night.
Oh, no question. Even at halftime, when I was watching the halftime ceremony, I was looking around. Everyone was on their feet, standing up, and you could tell, the vibe in the entire arena was just like chills. Mm-hmm. You have all of these legends that are coming through, getting standing ovations for their performances in Charlotte, and you could tell that this was a moment that if you weren't here, you missed out. Yep. You really, really missed out. I will say it was really great to see all of them in there. Baron Davis.
We love Baron.
Love Baron. If you missed our pregame show on Saturday, do yourself a favor. Go back and watch it. Watch the interview with Baron Davis, and that sums up his personality to a T. And if you saw the halftime ceremony on Saturday night, take a look at what he was wearing. I loved it. Adds so much to his character. I can't wait to have him back. I hope he comes back soon because I would love to have him back on the show.
Yeah, one of the most favorite interviews I've done with anybody in a long time. And Eryn and I handled it well, and I think that's what made him have so much fun with us, just because we were all locked into having a good time, which is what we try to bring you guys here on the HornetsFanShop.com pregame show.
There you go. I like that plug. Well, one of the legends who unfortunately was missing from that ceremony was Kemba Walker himself. He was busy in the locker room drawing up plays and getting ready for that second half. And what a second half it was for him. Let's take a look at his highlights from that night. We're now joined by Dwayne Bacon. Dwayne, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to go right into our game on Saturday. It was a tough loss, obviously, but there are a handful of moments to be proud of. What was your assessment of that game?
Just glad I am playing as hard as I can play, doing whatever the coaches needed me to do, defend, get to the basket, and shoot when I'm open. And I think I did that, as well as I could.
Now, you yourself, you had 9 points, 6 boards. Was there anything in particular that was working well for you in particular that night?
I missed a couple, of drives and, little floaters, but I just kept doing it, kept going. That's what coaches wanted me to do. At this point, you could just control what you can control, and that's something that I can control getting downhill whenever, I get the ball, and that's what I was doing. Just trying to, do what's best, take some pressure off Kemba and the other guys, because I know he played a lot of minutes, and, he can't do everything by himself, so.
Are you sure? Because it seemed like he might have been trying a little bit on
He can, but that guy's crazy.
What was that like just to watch him go off for 60? As a player on the court with him, what's that like?
It was crazy. I was just like, first of all, I looked up and he just had 50. I was like, man, it's crazy.
For you, we know coming into this season you were excited about the season. You had to bide your time a little bit to get your opportunity. How difficult was that to wait on your opportunity, but you've obviously taken it, and what was your approach with that?
It was just patience. It's just that's what comes with the game, being patient and staying ready, and that's what I've been doing. Every time my number's been called, I've been ready to play. You just got to have a certain attitude. You can't be mad about anything, which I wasn't. I've been, taking it well, cheering everybody on, because I want to win as well as everybody else. But, my number was called and I'm ready to play.
What is that like for Coach Borrego, to have a coach like that he seems like if a guy's playing well, he's going to play him. If a guy isn't playing well, you're not going to play. Is that nice to have that cut and dry approach?
For sure, because every night is not going to be a good night for every player. And, you got to have guys that can come off the bench and just take control, and we might need you to play 30 minutes that night, 25, 10, no matter what. You just got to go out there and play hard and do what's best for the team to win.
What have you been working on in particular, not necessarily at practice or on the court, but say if you're having kind of a rough patch, what do you do off the court to kind of get yourself back into it, whether it's mindset or getting in the gym? What is it? Just
staying in the gym. I know for the time I wasn't, when I really wasn't playing no games, just staying in the gym, extra work. I trust my ability, and I know what I can do on the court, and it's just a matter of me, like I said, staying patient and staying ready. When I wasn't playing, I was staying in the gym. I'm not playing, so I was getting my cardio in, still lifting heavy, and just steady shooting.
Now with the team getting ready tonight, we're taking on Kyrie Irving and the Celtics. What's the key to going into tonight's game?
Just defense in first. Our best offense is when we play defense and just push the ball. So if we get in and get a couple early stops and get our momentum going early, it can be a good night for us, for sure.
All right, well, let's get a couple wins, but we want to flip the switch here a little bit and talk some Thanksgiving with you. The holiday's coming up. We got to know from you, when we're talking about turkey, what's the best way to cook a turkey? Is it in the oven? Is it deep fried? Is it smoked? I mean, there's many different ways we can do it. Microwave?
Honestly, I don't know. I would have to say probably oven.
Oven.
But I'm not sure. I'm usually the guy on the other end. I don't do the cooking or watch the cooking. I'm usually the guy that's just eating the food. So.
Yeah, but you do it in the oven, then that's going to smell up the whole house. That gives you the perfect opportunity to just kind of take in all those wonderful smells, right?
That's true. I'm excited for Thanksgiving this year. I want a good meal, and my mom's up here, so.
Oh, your mom's going to be here?
Yeah, it should be nice.
So is she a made-from-scratch type person? Jace, our producer back there, and I have this argument all the time. I'm a box guy. I have no problem with stovetop.
Well,
I have no problem.
She's kind of a made-from-scratch woman. She don't really do box top stuff, but whatever she cooks, I'm with it. I don't care if it's box top, made from scratch. It don't matter to me.
Perfect.
Now there's a social media trend going around where they're encouraging you to ask your mom or text your grandma or your mom how to cook a 25-pound turkey in the microwave. If you were to text your mom that, what do you think she would say?
Oh, I don't know. Honestly,
I've seen a couple of crazy answers.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't even imagine what she would say.
You should try
She
that.
probably
Let us
would,
know.
yeah, she probably would start off with like cussing me out. Like, you know, how in the hell I'm gonna cook that or something like that? But honestly, I don't know. Yeah.
You should do that. Text her. Let us know what happens. Let us know
Gotcha.
what she says. All right. Well, moving right along. This past Friday, the Hornets had a chance to work with Foodland Feeds and Second Harvest Food Bank to give 1,000 families a Thanksgiving meal, and you were a part of that. What was that experience like for you for the second time?
Yeah, it was great. Just to see those families come in and be so thankful for, you know, the food they're getting, and they're getting some great stuff. And it is just a great moment because, you know, not everybody is capable of getting these things, and for us to just give them those things so they can have a meal on Thanksgiving is very, very, you know, I'm thankful and I'm grateful to be in this situation and do that for them.
All right. Well, we'll wrap up there and we'll go take a look at the recap. Dwayne, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
man.
It's one of our favorite days to be able to reach out in the community to a lot of our fans and great people of Charlotte and try to make sure that they have a happy Thanksgiving. We have a great partner in Food Lion and Coca-Cola. Second Harvest Food Bank is always here with us doing things out in the community, but this is a day that we can, our players especially, can say thank you for being a fan. And again, we're just hoping that they have a great holiday season.
I have had the good fortune to stand next to Kemba, and I put the mashed potatoes in and everyone else talks to Kemba. So it just brings big smiles to their faces, and they're taking pictures and can't wait to show their grandkids or their kids, and so it's really great. It's an added special event for folks during this special time of year.
I think this is the best part of my career, just having this platform to help people out. People admire you when you're in the NBA. So I just want to be a good role model to kids, show them that they should help people when they grow up too.
We're serving somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 families today. It's just a wonderful opportunity to make sure that a lot of people in our community who might not have a Thanksgiving meal actually get to sit down and have one. So to me, that's always a great day.
I mean, there's always a need. All you have to do is look. I mean, it's just all around us. This community is no different. And so being here and being able to give out meals to people who need it in the face of all that this state and this community has faced over the last year is just, it's so important. It's the most important thing.
And speaking of the holiday season, we have a game tonight, game on Wednesday against the Indiana Pacers. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, make sure to head over to Hornets.com or Ticketmaster. Make sure to grab those tickets. Talking about tonight, the Boston Celtics. We have a big one ahead of us tonight. Yeah. And Kemba Walker, God bless you. You're a great guy, but you do need a little bit more help. We don't know if we can see another 60-point game out of you tonight. What's it going to take for this Hornets team to pull out a win against the Celtics?
Hopefully over the course of the last 2 days, Kemba's got at least 20 hours of sleep. That's the first thing. I want his body to have been recovered, to get that stuff so he can bounce back. And hey, if you want to do it again, we're down with you doing it again. I'll take 60 tonight. That would be great.
We'll take it.
120 on back-to-back performances. We're not asking much, Kemba. Make it happen. Come on, this is the Celtics in town. But it is the Celtics in town. We're going to need a great performance from this team. Kemba's going to have to still do what Kemba does. I don't look for Kemba to come out and have a 15-point night. We'd still like to see Kemba be impressive, but he's definitely going to need to get more help. And that help has got to come from the bench. We've talked about the bench all season long and how it's been the strength of this team. It has been absolutely tremendous, one of the best benches in the NBA. But last game, there was no player that had more than 2 points off the bench at halftime of last game. Dwayne Bacon came out and had 9, so did Miles Bridges. Those guys contributed. But a lot of the guys that we've seen really been productive off the bench this season were not that on Saturday night. I really look for those guys to step up against this Celtics bench because starter versus starters, it's going to be a heck of a matchup. You've got some really great players out on the court. You're going to have to take advantage with the reserves.
Yeah, and speaking of starters, though, we had Cody and Marvin get into some foul trouble Saturday night. What's it going to take to kind of avoid that and to eliminate that from happening?
Well, thankfully, there's not a guy like Joel Embiid on the Boston Celtics because if we've shown one thing, it's tough to defend that guy. We have a very difficult time defending him. We did up in Philly. We did here. That's going to be the case. You need to be aggressive defensively, especially if these guys aren't putting things together offensively. We saw 2 of our starters last game, Marvin and Nick, combined for 4 points. If you're not going to give something offensively, we definitely need to see you guys step up defensively and hold back some of those better Celtics players. We know that they're aggressive. We know that they're young. We know that they're athletic. We know that they're terrifying. But please do something to try and stop them, because I think we can. I think when this team buckles down defensively and takes pride in the defense they're playing, they can stop good teams. We've seen it before. This is a real statement game. Let's bounce back and get a big win over the Celtics.
Statement game, total team effort here. Also, we need some help from the fans.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday night sellout was great to watch. It was great to see, and you could definitely tell that the team really got that energy from the crowd, so we're definitely going to need that tonight.
Yeah, that second half, to me, I mean, the best I could put it was like a playoff atmosphere. Just, we mentioned the fans being on their feet. When Kemba started doing what he was doing in the third quarter and we started making that run and started coming back, everybody was on their feet, and everyone realized they were witnessing something special and wanted to be a part of that moment. So, like I said, I think there's probably going to be about 30,000 people who said they saw that game or were at that game, even though we don't hold that many. I know most of you guys in Charlotte were here. You can tell us that. That's fine. But we want to see you here tonight, and we want to see you here on Wednesday as well.
Another sellout crowd, just like when we saw opening night in 1988. We're going to close out by taking a look back at opening night from the Charlotte Coliseum in 1988. All right, tonight, big matchup, 7 o'clock tip. Make sure to tune in on Fox Sports Southeast and listen on WFNZ. For Matt Rochinski, I'm Eryn Pittsonberger for Hornets.com.
I remember opening night. I was there, and I remember the newspaper said, "Charlotte, tonight we are Major League."
I think the town saw the opener as something beyond just playing a basketball game. It was a strong signal that Charlotte had arrived as a big-time city.
This was unprecedented, and it was neat to be there and for people to say, this is ours.
There was just so much energy around an NBA game happening in the city of Charlotte.
It really was surreal to believe that we were finally on the big stage and finally had a team in the NBA, and that the NBA had recognized Charlotte as a city that was worthy of having a franchise.
Charlotte was demonstrating its support for, love of the NBA and the Hornets, and it was a terrific time.
Charlotte was an up-and-coming city from the standpoint of it had banking, it had NASCAR, but there was no team sport there, and they got their team, and people just got fired up.
Hello, Charlotte, and welcome to the National Basketball Association. I'm Jim Forrest, thrilled to be part of this historical night, Charlotte's debut into the big leagues of professional basketball.
There's a flood of memories. You know, people wearing tuxedos to the game.
I've never seen so many people at a game wearing tuxes. It was like going to a wedding or something with about 100 groomsmen. And people were dressed up, and they just wanted to make it an occasion.
You know, people dressed up, they wore tuxedos, the ladies wore evening gowns, so it was a real interesting look for an NBA game.
If you didn't know better, you thought you were in Los Angeles or something, you know, the way everybody was coming. It was a big deal for Charlotte.
You know, it was like a college football game. You know, tailgating in the parking lot, you know, the lead up to it, people coming out in tuxes. You know, it was an experience. It was a first time deal, and people wanted to make sure that everybody knew about it.
At the time, since we encouraged it, it was a positive for all of us. It showed us that, you know, we were on the right track, and this is what the people would respond to.
It was just an electric, here we are situation. I remember Kurt Rambis, who they had gotten from the Lakers, and he said, you know, I've been around the Lakers a long time, championships and around the league. I've never seen anything like this. And I think he was pretty well speaking for everybody in Charlotte that night.
There were these 24,000 fans or so in this too large building, which I thought was ridiculous in size. But of course, then they sold it out, and it was an extraordinary event.
There was a ceremonial tip-off, I think, with the first season ticket holder.
The world can thank me for turning them down on their first idea, which is me singing the national anthem. That ain't gonna happen. I said, guys, that ain't gonna happen. Plan B was then would you be willing to throw up the first jump ball, just kind of a little ceremony. It was like, I can do that.
Well, I knew we were playing Cleveland, the team that I came from. I knew they were a pretty good team with Brad Daugherty, Ron Harper, Mark Price, a lot of my buddies still today. But I was able to soak it in a little more because having a broken wrist, wasn't able to play. I was able to sit back and kind of watch the fan reaction. My teammates, maybe a little butterflies, a little nervous to go out for the first time.
For me, the first NBA game I ever went to, I played in. It was a whirlwind.
It was my first try at professional basketball, so you're a little skeptical at that, but I'd watched enough of it, so I think I was comfortable with it.
I was one of the most experienced employees there. At the age of 45, I'd had almost 30 years in pro sports. I was used to the pressure, and so from my standpoint, the evening went as planned. It was exhausting, but it was fun.
The biggest problem I had that night was wondering when we'd ever get our first basket, because our opponent, Cleveland, that night, I think had scored 8 points already, and we hadn't scored yet till Kelly Tripucka scored.
Daugherty had the rebound taken away by Tripucka.
But I just remember the roar of the crowd, how exciting everybody was. Just, it was an event.
The atmosphere was incredible, and then we go in and we didn't play like everything seemed to be, but that wasn't what they were there for.
Most of the time leading up to the finish of the game, I was just praying that it would get over soon. And they didn't win the game. We lost by 40.
Unheard of. I think we lost by 40. It was not a fun game to watch as a player and watching my teammates. But it was a little different. Normally halftime, third quarter, nowadays the fans are gone. Everybody stayed until the final horn.
But in the final minute, as everything was winding down, and the fans did something unprompted. They just stood up and started applauding. And it grew and grew and grew to the point where when the final buzzer sounded, everybody was standing and they were cheering.
But as we walking out of off the court, the crowd just stood up and gave us a standing ovation.
And I'm thinking, this is not good. You know, if they start clapping for the other team after we lose, that's going to be a problem.
Walk in the locker room, everybody's like, what's going on? They couldn't understand why we were getting a standing ovation.
And I honestly thought they were cheering for Cleveland. You know, I thought they had turned on us.
Well, little do we know, after the Cleveland Cavaliers left the floor, they were still clapping. So we found out that they were actually cheering for us.
You know, this was like a lifetime achievement award that Charlotte had gotten an NBA team. The fans who had individually pulled for Carolina, Duke, North Carolina State, Wake Forest, were now all collectively cheering for this one professional sports team.
But I think they were saying thank you for making Charlotte a major league town.
They were happy to have an NBA team here in Charlotte. They embraced us, and no matter what, they let us know that night that they were going to be behind us.
And from that moment on, you knew that we was in a special situation.
At least for me personally, that made you think that we've got to have some pride here. We've got to establish something and become a home court advantage. Establish that home court advantage. It could be something special here.
It really was kind of a highlight for me to see, hey, these people really love this team, you know, as I did, you know, just that sense of pride.
I don't think any other team has ever been introduced in the NBA that got that kind of reception. And for me, and for a lot of other people, just the spirit of that said a lot about what sports can do in a town to bring people together.